Hey guys, welcome back to our scenes. So in today's video, we will be studying about human nervous system, a continuation of the chapter Control and Coordination. So now let's talk about human nervous system. Human nervous system, is the entire network of nerves running throughout your body, right? Starting from your head to the very part of your toe, okay, the nail of the toe or whatever you want to describe it as. So your entire body is running on nerves, and all this comes under the human nervous system. So now your human nervous system, to get a better understanding of the study, it is divided or it is classified into three types: central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and the third one, autonomous nervous system. Regarding third one, autonomous nervous system, there is not a single detail given to you according to your syllabus, hence we are not going to talk about it. We're just going to talk about central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. So now let's just go through the map to understand what falls under what. So central nervous system is the main component. It's like your headquarters of your nervous system. When you see it's the headquarters, that means everything that is happening throughout the system is controlled by the headquarters. So your central nervous system is something like that. Everything that is happening inside your body, which is under the control or under the governing of your nervous system, it is controlled and coordinated and governed by your central nervous system. So this central nervous system is again divided into two parts: the brain and the spinal cord. Okay, so brain is the main part over here. The spinal cord regarding reflex actions I've already seen. So these two other ones which come under central nervous system. Brain is also known as the master organ of our body, because it's the one which is controlling the entire thing. Your feelings, even, it's controlled by the brain. Okay, so we'll get to that in detail as we are going on. So that's about your central nervous system. Next comes your peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system includes cranial nerves and spinal nerves, the ones which are arising from central nervous system. The nerves which are coming from your brain, we call them as cranial nerves, and the nerves which are coming from your spinal cord, we call them as spinal nerves. So they are like the components of your central nervous system. The nerves which are arising from your central nervous system, they are named as peripheral nervous system. They are like, whatever is decided, whatever is, for the working of your body, whatever decision is generated by the brain and the spinal cord, okay, for whatever matter it is supplied, or the message is passed through the entire body, or whichever the target organ is, it is done by your peripheral, right? So that is where your peripheral nervous system comes into existence. So in our body, in humans, we have 12 pairs of cranial nerves, 12 pairs it is, and in spinal nerves we have 31 pairs. So 12 in human beings, we have got 12 pairs of cranial nerves and 31 pairs of spinal nerves. That's all you have to study about peripheral nervous system. There is no going in detail regarding your peripheral nervous system, but we need to study in detail brain. Regarding spinal cord, we have already gone through, right, the reflex action. That's all we have got to study. Other than that, we have to just talk about the protection, which will be going through together. Now let's talk about brain in detail. This is the only part of the nervous system which you have to study in thorough detail. So this is how a brain looks like. Now also I need to tell you that for the exam purpose, you need to study your brain diagram, okay, which I'll be doing in my further sessions. I'll be doing a video on how to draw brain in simple manner, so keep your eyes set for that. Okay, so as you can see, this is your brain, the master organelle, the organ with the potential to make you, to break you. So if your brain is fine, if your brain is functioning properly, you are a normal person. A little fault in the functioning of your brain and you are gone. Okay, so you know the consequences. So your brain is divided into 3 parts. Okay, for the easiest study, one is the forebrain, second one is the midbrain, and the last one is the hindbrain. Forebrain, midbrain, and the hindbrain. This is the hindbrain. This part is your forebrain. This part is your midbrain, which falls in the center, and whatever is running below, we call them as the hindbrain. This part is running below as the spinal cord. Okay. So you can see the convolutions over here, right? So this, whatever you can see, it looks as if the foldings, we call them as convolutions. This comes under your forebrain. So your forebrain has a part called cerebrum. This part is the cerebrum. Other than that, all your sense organs, all the 5 sense organs, that is your eyes, ears, nose, tongue and your skin, all the messages that come from those receptor cells, they all reach your cerebrum itself. So cerebrum is the one which will decide, or which will help you in understanding what your sensory organs have received as a message. Okay, whatever you hear, whatever you see, your sensory organs don't have the capacity to tell you what they are. They'll just take the message and send it to your brain. Imagine you're seeing something. Okay, your eyes will do the job of taking the message, okay, taking the picture and converting it into electrical impulse and sending it to your brain. Your brain will tell you what you are seeing. Imagine that your eyes are doing their job, that is, converting the image into electrical impulse. But the connection between the eyes and the brain is broken. Okay, or by some case, the neuron which is sending the message is damaged. In that case, though your eyes is functioning fine, because of the absence of the connection between the brain, you will be blind. That is not because your eyes have got certain issue, but because of the connection with the brain. Okay, your brain is not able to tell you what you are seeing and you are not able to interpret it, right? So though your eye is functioning fine, because of the absence of the connection, you will not be able to decide. Okay, so it goes both the way. Same goes for your hearing purpose as well. Okay, so your cerebrum is also responsible for your hunger. Okay, how do you come to know when you feel hungry, or as you're taking your food, you will come to know when your stomach is full. So this sense of satisfaction or this sense of need, whatever you have associated with your hunger, is also controlled by your cerebrum part. Okay, cerebrum is responsible for those particular reasons. Then comes your midbrain, okay, which serves as a connecting link between your forebrain and the hindbrain. Okay, other than this function, your midbrain also controls some of the involuntary actions which are not under your control. Okay, that's what involuntary means. It is completely controlled by the part of the brain which is responsible for it, and they'll be doing the job. So what are those involuntary functions? Like, if I have to say, change in your pupil size. Okay, what is a pupil? Okay, pupil is the tiny little black part which is present inside your iris. Okay, sorry, inside your central eye part. Okay, what you can see on the screen right now. So that tiny thing is nothing but your pupil. This pupil will enlarge in cases of when you are suddenly excited or you are angry, when your emotions are all over the place. That is the time when your pupil will enlarge. So that is, again, it's not controlled by you, it's completely controlled by your midbrain. Okay, then comes your reflex movement of your head and neck, trunk. Okay, suddenly movement, when you hear somebody calling you, suddenly jerk your neck, or you suddenly change, move your your face, actually your head, you are going to turn it. So it's all because of the movement of your head, neck and trunk. So the movement of these parts are again entirely controlled by your midbrain. They all are reflex movements. You suddenly hear something, you turn. You suddenly feel something, you turn. Okay, you don't think before you do it normally. So all this again comes under your involuntary actions, which are controlled by your midbrain. And then lastly, your hindbrain. Your hindbrain is again further divided into three parts: pons, medulla and cerebellum. Okay, so regarding cerebellum, see, normally students mix up cerebrum with cerebellum. Cerebrum is a part of forebrain. Cerebellum is a part of hindbrain. You can remember it in this manner: medulla, cerebellum. You have got double L's in both. So whenever you have double L's, they come under hindbrain. Okay, you can remember in that manner. So now let's see what are the functions of each one. Okay, let's talk about pons first. Pons is responsible for again involuntary actions like your respiration. Your respiration, or whatever breathing in and breathing out you do, it's, though it is happening all together, you can stop it, but you can't control it, right? You don't think before you respire. So it's completely it's completely under the involuntary part, and it's controlled by your pons. Next comes your medulla. Medulla is again responsible for involuntary actions. Okay, here the involuntary actions involve blood pressure. You don't decide your blood pressure. You're not the one which is controlling your blood pressure. It's a completely involuntary action, and it's controlled by your medulla. Other than that, salivation. Whenever you see certain food which is appealing or which is increasing your appetite, you start to salivate. Saliva will be gathering inside your mouth. Again, that is controlled by medulla. Then comes your vomiting sensation. As discussed before, vomiting is not something which is under your control. You cannot stop it when it's supposed to come. You cannot create it when it's not ready to come out, right? So again, that is controlled by your medulla. Lastly comes your cerebellum. This cerebellum is nothing but this flower-like part. I normally call it as a clover leaf pattern because I can see this 3 rounds. So I call it clover leaf for my understanding. You can call it a tree or a 3-leaf pattern, whatever you want to call it. So now regarding cerebellum, cerebellum is responsible for your posture and balance. You stand straight, you maintain a posture. So all this posture, so there are some people who are always, sitting in a bowed manner or standing in a bowed manner, walking in a bowed manner. So it might be also because of how you work out or how flexible you are. But again, it's something which is controlled by your cerebellum. So this will decide your posture, how you are maintaining your posture. It will also control your balance. There are some people who are very good at balancing. There are some people who are not. In most, you can develop it though, even if you are not good at it. But it's again controlled by your cerebellum. Then also, it's also responsible for some of the voluntary actions like picking your pen, which are associated with your fingers and all. Okay, so picking up your pencil, riding a bicycle, all these things where your balancing is also responsible. So they are here again, your cerebellum will be helpful for you. So that's about your parts of the human brain. Now, before moving on to the next section, let me tell you that I've already added a link in the description box where I have, created a tabular column for studying the brain. Okay, what are the functions, what are the part of the brain, and, for just study material, a complete study material for human brain. Most of the time students get confused with how to study, or they mix up the functioning. So to keep it easier, to keep it simpler, there is a tabular column created already with all the study material, what are the functions of each part. I have already done that before, and I'm just going to give you a link in the description box so that you can benefit out of it. Next, let's talk about how our brain and spinal cord tissues protected. You know, your brain is very soft. They are completely made up of nerves. Same goes for your spinal cord. So how do you think your body has a proper mechanism to protect them? So there are two mechanisms running over here. One is a fluid-filled balloon is covering your brain and spinal cord. That means there is a layer. Your brain is enclosed and under 3 layers. Okay, this is something an extra. You don't have it mentioned in your textbook. I'll just tell it to you. So meninges, not meningitis. Meningitis is a disease of meninges. So meninges, you have got, a thick layer of, actually it's multi-layered present. Okay, multi-layer is present around your brain and spinal cord. So inside this layer you'll have a fluid. We call it as cerebrospinal fluid. In short, we write it as CSF. Cerebrospinal fluid, the fluid which is running between your cerebro, that is your brain, and spinal. Okay, between your brain and spinal cord there is a fluid which is running continuously. So this fluid is something which acts like a protection for your brain and spinal cord. It does not let it dry off. It will provide all the nutrition, all the liquid it requires to keep it actually allow the proper functioning and also to protect it. This is one. The second thing what you have for the protection, you need something hard and strong, so that if you hit your head or if you hit your back, you're not supposed to damage your nerves. So for that, for your brain, we have got skull, okay, the cranium, the head part, whatever the bone part of the head you have, the topmost part what you have, as you can see on the screen, the cranium is the strongest. It's made up of 8 bones. It's very strong. It will keep your brain safe inside it. It's like a brain box which keeps it safe. And for your spinal cord, you have got your vertebral column. Your spinal cord is actually inside the vertebral column. Your vertebral column is hollow inside. So this is where your spinal cord will be running. So again, it's enclosed under a bony structure. It's inside a bony structure. Hence, it will be safer on both the sides. Next, let's talk about how coordination happens between nervous and muscular tissues. In the introduction of the chapter, I have already told you that your nervous system will coordinate with the muscular tissues, your muscular system, in order to reflect its, decisions or its whatever messages it has generated. It will be reflected upon your muscular tissues. The point is, how does this happen? Okay, you know that for something to happen, you always have a stimuli. Okay, a stimulus, something which is causing it. Okay, from an external, imagine you are seeing something, imagine you are feeling something, which is the stimulus. So that is received by your sense organ, right? So now from the sense organ, as you know, your sensory nerves or sensory neuron, they are going to take it to your central nervous system. Depending upon the type of response, it might go to your spinal cord or to your brain. If it's supposed to be a reflex response, then it's going to go to your spinal cord. Otherwise, it's going to go to your brain. So inside the brain, what happens is, the message is going to be, or whatever information has been brought by your sensory neuron, it will be interpreted, it will be analyzed, and then a decision will be taken by your central nervous system, either the brain or the your spinal cord. And whatever decision which is taken, it will be generated. Again, as I said before, all this is happening in the form of electrical impulse. So the message will be going through a motor neuron to your muscles. Now, what actually happens in muscle after receiving the message from the which is brought by the motor neuron from your central nervous system? How does the muscle react to it? So muscle has to react, right? It has to change for the movement. Suppose the message I have received is to pick my pen or pick my pencil. So for that, I need to move my hand. And to move, the first thing what we know is it's going to change its shape. The way it looks, it's going to change. And in order to change it, we need to change things at the cellular level, which can be done by proteins. There are certain proteins inside our muscle cells which will actually change their shape for the movement of their muscles. Okay, so as the proteins change their shape, your muscle cells will be changing their shape, and hence your muscle will shorten and they'll move, and a response will be given as desired or as granted by your central nervous system. So this is what is happening in all the cases. In the regular cases, however, your nervous system is responding on your muscular tissue. Now let's talk about the limitations. Okay, this is something which might be asked to you. Okay, what are the limitations of this electrical communication, or what are the limitations of your nervous system? Okay, we are going to say that the first one, electrical impulse will reach only to those cells that are connected by nervous tissue. In our such a big body, such a complex body, each and every cell is not connected to one another by the nervous tissue. There are certain parts of the body or certain cells which are not at all connected to the nervous tissue at all. So those are the regions where your messages or the electrical impulses will not reach at all. They'll only communicate wherever their network is. So again, this is a drawback. It cannot be given to each, it cannot be decided, or it cannot be worked on each and every cell of your body unless and until it is connected by a nervous cell or a nervous tissue. Next, after generation and transmission of an electrical impulse, the cell takes some time to reset this mechanism before transmitting another impulse. So cells cannot continually create and transmit impulse. So in between, one and the second impulse, you need a gap. Your nerve cells need a gap to actually rest, to actually work on the other impulse or create or generate another impulse. Hence, again, this is a drawback. Though it's faster, it can be covered up. Next, plants do not have nervous system. So plants solely they are working on the chemical method, okay, chemical communication method. They have never had a nervous system. Okay, plants, they are completely omitted of the nervous system. It's only in the animals where you will find a nervous system. Hence, for the plants we cannot work with this. So talking about your chemical communication, whatever limitations you have of your electrical communication, they are brought about by your chemical communication. Okay, we are going to talk about this in our next session. Okay, so here ends your nervous system. In case of doubts, you can just leave me a comment. Okay, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you for watching.